Dungreed is a roguelite action platformer with a hub-time progression system that rewards you for your failures and doesn't try to waste your time. In Dungreed, you will be exploring semi-procedural dungeons that have you scavenging for better gear, eating meals to increase your stats, and rescuing villagers who will then expand your hometown. The combat has a very weightless feel to it that might seem rather loose just looking at it, but actually playing it, the near limitless potential of your dash ability and fast movement speed have you moving around the environment so unhindered by movement constraints that the ease in which you move a mouse cursor around your desktop feels not too unlike the freedom of movement you have available with your hero. This makes the combat fast, fun, and refreshing in this day and age of slower, more methodical combat, which I'm a great fan of as well, but I feel this weightless approach to combat works well in Dungreed with its jumpin' and play arcadey style. A core element to the combat in Dungreed is your dashing capabilities, and at first glance you would assume it's your standard invulnerable dodge move to get you out of trouble. But you would be wrong. There is actually zero invincibility on your dash at the start of the game, and not until you upgrade your swiftness skill tree to its absolute maximum stat, which will take many hours, would it actually get so. So you might ask yourself, what's the point in a dash that doesn't actually evade anything? Well, it does damage. This is an offensive dash move that can be buffed up with certain items, and since idle hitboxes of enemies themselves don't damage you, only their attack animations do, you are free to dash your way straight through groups of enemies, closing the gap and killing them at the same time. This is incredibly rewarding gameplay wise, but can be frustrating at first that you can't just dash your way through an oncoming barrage of projectiles. There is a statistical value assigned to your evade chance, and if attack is actually going to hit you, there is math going on that deems if you evade the hit or not, nullifying its damage. This puts slightly more emphasis on your hero's stats over raw skill, but smartly, not entirely. So now that you understand the most important aspect of the game, the gameplay, now let's talk about what you're going to be doing in these dungeons. Each failed run through these gauntlets of enemies and bosses, you will lose all your items you have amassed and mostly all your gold, but you will then be returned back to your home base to where you can expand your town with more shops that increase your stats as you level up, get free items before your next run, or purchase exact armaments to better your chances on the next attempt. Another important system during your delves is the food system. You can eat meals during dungeon runs that can heal you or increase your stats for the remainder of that run only. You can only eat a certain amount at one time and are forced to go out and kill more enemies and explore before you're allowed to bulk up anymore. These two systems, along with the ever-expanding pool of items being added at certain milestones, makes for a very addicting gameplay loop in Dungreed that rewards your deaths and keeps you invested for more. The two slight annoyances I had during my time with Dungreed come down from the somewhat limited scope of the game. You will very quickly start to remember the enemy layouts and familiar rooms way more often than I would like in this style of game. And I hope you're okay with the default controls because this is the entirety of the options menu and nothing can be rebound or tinkered with. For the price, you're getting a fun little side game to play and toss a dozen or so hours in. Dungreed's focus on fast combat, interesting items, and your ever-expanding town and character progression makes this a tough game to know when to stop and not do that one last dive into the depths of Dungreed. This has been Deadite from Boomstick Gaming, and remember, shop smart, shop S-Mart.